Hi everyone, it's John here again. Hope everything's all okay where you are this day. This video is just going to go through some basic knots, which is handy for the household, gardening. If you're going camping, these knots will be useful. The first knot I'm going to go through is what is known as the clove hitch. You go around where you want to tie it. You make 1/2 hitch. Just hold it down with your thumb, go around the back and go under the line and then pull tight. Now this type of knot likes to be kept tight. If it's loose, what can happen is there's the ropes flying around, it can actually undo itself. Now to undo it, you just loosen it off and the whole thing falls apart. There's another way of doing it. One loop above, going up, and then one loop going down. You pass the loop going down above, pass it over where you want to do. There you go, there's your clove hitch. If it's say 10-20 metres in your line where you need one. The next knot's a very old knot. It was actually just discovered in ancient Egypt around 3,500–4,000 BC. It's called the bowline or the bowline hitch. You have the running end. You go above the line, pass it through wherever you want to tie it. You pass it through the loop. The easiest way is always go to the big loop around the back, then back through the small loop, and you pull tight. And as you can see there, you can pull and pull and it won't let go. It's a very, very handy knot. It's very basic, very old, but it's extremely efficient. One of the best knots to have in your arsenal. Another handy knot to actually have is what is known as the figure of 8 knot. There's 2 ways you can tie it. The issue is you need a fair amount of line on your bind. What you do is just pull it straight so they're side by side. You go around both, and as you can see here, they would automatically thread around, let that thread happen. And then just pass it through. And occasionally you make a dog's breakfast of it because I'm not used to looking through the camera. Around the back. That point there, and then pass it through both and grab both. Now when you're tying it together, you just got to make sure the top one falls down and the bottom one falls up. And just give it a bit of a minor little clean up, because sometimes rope, as they get used a little bit, they do tend to find their own lay. As you can see there, it's all nice and symmetrical. Now this is one of the very few knots that you can use for sort of for life sustaining. No other knot really can be used. This is probably the most safest and most accurate, because as you pull, it gets tighter and tighter. To undo it, just pull. And the whole thing falls apart. Now there's a second way of doing it. Is the threaded what you need. You need a good arm's length. The first thing you do is the same as the one on the bite. Make a loop, pass the whole lot around the back, so you get that. Then you thread the line through, so you get a figure of 8. Pass it around whatever you need to tie off on. Yeah, what you do is when it goes down the right hand side, you always pass it on the left. When you go around the back, you lay it on top. When you're on the left hand side, you lay it on the right hand side. Thread through so you get that sort of a feel. Then when you go on in front of the top, then threading back down again. You're on the left hand side, you thread it down right, then pass the whole lot through like so. Then just pull tight, and as you can see, it's nice and neat. Just have a bit of a dress, have a bit of a look. It's all nice and neat, everything's all laying correctly. To undo it, you do the opposite, you make it nice and sloppy. Unthread everything. And it's amazing how rope sometimes has got a mind of its own, which is a bit embarrassing. Or it's just me looking through the lens and I'm not really used to it. Now the last knot is called the Alpine's butterfly. It's also good for climbing. You get one loop, you twist, get the loop and you pass it under like so. So until you get this little half in a circle, you grab the bottom section, pull it over, and then under and through the top 2 loops, pull tight. Now the great advantage of this knot is it can be loaded 3 ways. 2 ways straight forward, and it can also be loaded like that. The fantastic advantage is if you're towing a trailer and you need to do a trucker's hitch, and for those guys who've taught a trucker's hitch, sometimes it can let go, it can fail. This one here, all you have to do, pass it around your truck or your trailer, pass it through like so, and it'll be quite happily to load it like that, and then you can pull it down, load up, and then tie off with a clove hitch. But the only issue with this one, when this gets really, really tight, it's very hard to undo, which is a great advantage. Sometimes you might need a fairly large screwdriver to place into here to squeeze it open. After it's let go, you can do that. Whole thing falls open. I hope you found these common household camping knots to be hopefully very useful in the future. And as always, have a great day. Hear from you soon.